in 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Meg. I'm part of the Powerfly virtual chat or virtual hosting team, and I am really excited to kind of host this great event we have for you today and introduce you to this amazing speaker as well as Surescripts as a company. So before we get started, I do just want to go over a couple of real quick housekeeping items for y'all. First things first. Today's event, like all of our virtual events, is all about you. It's about our community members, and we want to make sure that the time you spend with us is time that you enjoy, that you get to learn something, you have fun, and that you are happy to spend time with us and can't wait to come back. So to accomplish that, one of the key things that I very much encourage is participation. So if you want to, ask questions or add comments, or if we go over one of your questions and you want to add more context to it, please, please, please feel free to speak up and speak out. If you have any kind of privacy concerns, one thing I'm going to tell you is that if you do come off mute at any time during today's session, you will show up on the live stream as well as the recording that we're doing of today's session that we will post to our YouTube and our website. But that's regardless of whether you turn your cameras on or not. I highly encourage you to turn your cameras on just so we can kind of enjoy everybody's smiling maskless faces in a safe environment. No need to be insta perfect. I'm on, I think, day 3 of dry shampoo and messy bun. Please bring your furry coworkers, your non-traditional workspaces, your small child supervisors. All of it is welcome and encouraged. If you do, like I said, if you do come off mute, you will show up on the recording, and it's also like one of the best ways to make sure that your question gets asked and answered today. If you have privacy concerns or just not great audio, not a problem. You can still participate by putting your question into the Zoom group chat. And if you DM me, instead of sending it to everyone, you pick my name from the drop-down menu, then it'll just go to me directly and I will raise your question anonymously, or comments or whatever, and make sure that nobody has any idea you were here or participating. So just keep that in mind, your various options for kind of jumping in and really driving today's conversation. We want you to get out of today the answers that you want, the answers that you came for, the information that you're hoping to get from Chantal. So make sure that if you are here, you kind of get what you want out of today's session. Like I said, this session is being recorded. We are live streaming to our YouTube channel at Powerfly, and we will be posting this recording on our website. Everybody that registered for today's event will get an email with a link to rewatch this recording in 1 to 2 business days. Now you'll get that whether you spend 5 minutes with us, if you stay for the full 60, or if you just signed up for this chat and then realized you couldn't make it. Hi, future watchers. You'll still get a rewatch link in a couple days. If you can't wait, if Chantal says something amazing that you just have to send to a friend or coworker or family or whatever. No worries. You can always head over to our YouTube channel. We are this video posted to that channel probably within a couple minutes of the live stream ending today. And keep in mind, if you are sharing out, if you're sharing this around on social, please feel free to tell people that you are, you can take video and pictures as we go, and share with, share the love and let people know that you are learning with Powerfly today. We prefer, I'll throw some information about hashtags and tagging us and that kind of stuff in the chat. But you can keep up with us on all of our various social channels. We are on YouTube, as well as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So please feel free to reach out, connect, and follow us on those various social media channels. Now, if you do come off mute to ask a question or add comments, one thing I do ask is that you try your best not to talk over Chantal or any of our attendees. I tend to be very long-winded and I get paid to fill the silence. So please feel free to interrupt me if you would like to ask a question or add comments. Let's see, yeah, I think that kind of covers us for now. So as we get going here, I'd love to introduce you to our guest speaker, Chantal Bradley. She is a product analyst at Surescripts, and she's been with the company for 10 years. She was telling me earlier that 8 of those years were spent on the account management team. She was a non-traditional student, started college at the age of 29, and got her bachelor's in global affairs, communication, and tech with a technical concentration in health information technology from George Mason in 2016. So congratulations for that. This achievement is one of her proudest moments, as well it should be, as not only as she not only worked and put herself through school, but she also got married, had a baby boy, and walked across the stage with him when he was 5 months old. That's wonderful. I absolutely love that. So Chantal is also pursuing her PMP certification. She likes self-paced classes on platforms such as Code Academy and Data Camp, which I'm sure will be familiar to some of our audience members. And Chantal has a loving husband and 2 young boys who take up most of her free time. But when she's alone, she loves to read horror books, a girl after my own heart. Or you can find her in the kitchen cooking up tasty and wholesome meals for her family, mostly kid approved. Welcome, Chantal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited for this conversation. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, me too. All right. So before we move on from your intro, is there anything else you wanted to add to today's discussion? Anything about, like the subject of your talk or anything at all?
I think I'd like for the audience just to take away that I am non-traditional in every fashion. I started college late. I changed from account management to product, a complete 180. And just take away that if you want it, you can do it. It may be hard, there may be steps, you may have knowledge gaps, but if you want it, you can do it. And I'm living proof. So let's just talk and have some fun. I'm open and willing to answer questions. And yeah, let's do this.
Thank you. That sounds great. So one thing before we jump into our questions, I do just want to highlight for y'all. Surescripts is hiring. So I want you to, I'm going to drop a link in the chat here in just a second where you can check out Surescripts company page on Powerfly. So when you go to that page, it's going to look much like this. And in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, it's going to be, there'll be a big pink button that says follow on it. If you go to that screen or go to that link I'm going to send, you can check out company info. So learn a little bit more about Surescripts as a company. You can take a look at their events. So any upcoming events like today or, participation in our virtual career fair or our mini summits or our mega summit, as well as some of the events that they've participated in the past. And you can also check out the open jobs link there. So that'll give you a whole list of the open positions that they have listed with Powerfly. I've also got another evergreen link that I'll drop in the chat from Surescripts directly too. So with that, when I talked about that follow button, the big thing to know about that is the follow button works kind of like your friend, the company. So the follow button tells, clicking that puts you on their follow network. It tells the Surescripts team that you are very interested in working with them. It's like your friend saying hey, there's this person I know and they're really great and they really love to work here. But then it also works on the flip side to alert you when they post new roles or when they have updates or changes to their events kind of stuff. So it kind of helps, give you that nudge of they posted a new role. So that way you don't have to keep coming back to job boards that might seem like they don't change for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden there's 6 new roles that went up when you weren't looking. So definitely take advantage of that. The other thing that I highly recommend the follow network for is if you take a look at Surescripts open jobs and there's nothing really that suits you right now or that you're really interested in, but you're still interested in them as a company, definitely click that button. It tells the Surescripts team as well as any Powerfly internal talent advocates that you are interested in working with Surescripts. So if they have, if we're sourcing for them and there's a listing that comes up, that's the first, when a new job is posted, that's the first place most of the team looks to see if there's anybody on that list that's already actively interested in the company that fits that role. So definitely do that. It's a really great way to try and set yourself up for success at, in getting a job with Surescripts. Follow and unfollow as many companies as you like on Powerfly. You can follow and unfollow at will. So definitely check that feature out. But if you're at all interested in Surescripts, make sure that you take a look at their page. I'll throw that link here in the chat in just a second. I'm going to spend about a couple seconds each on these next 2 slides. If you'd like to grab a screenshot, you're more than welcome. Our type A joiners tend to appreciate that, but you don't have to because there will be a recording, so you can always take a look, look back at the recording if you missed something that's said. I'm going to go to the next slide here. Questions that I'm showing here are the amazing questions that y'all submitted leading up to today's session. So what we did is we kind of gathered them all together. We tried to arrange stuff in a conversational format, and we're going to try and get through these today. If we don't, we'll kind of just see where the conversation leads us. But still, even if you pre-submitted a question, if you don't see it here, if you're just worried we won't get to it before time runs out, please still feel free to jump in and ask questions either on audio or in the chat. we want y'all to really get what you want out of today's session. So please feel free to really drive the conversation and steer where we go. All right, so Chantal, as we get started here, this first question asks, how did you specifically decide to move from account management to product analyst?
Yes, so for me, it was a very strategic approach, and there are a couple of layers to that. So one, I really had to sit down with myself and have a personal conversation and understand, okay, what is it that you want? What are your career goals? Where are you trying to go to? What do you dislike about what you're doing today? What do you love about what you're doing today? And how can you take what you love and apply it to something new? How can you bring that diamond in within yourself and apply it to something new? And so as I began to scope that out for myself, I then leaned into, at Surescripts, we have a great intranet, and our HR department has set up what we call career maps, where you can go in and look at how to move to different positions from the position that you're in. And so I really took in that career map, not from a perspective of, oh, how do I move from account management to CEO, but more like I wanted to make sure I understood and didn't forget all of the pieces and opportunities that were there within Surescripts. My vision and my knowledge had been so wrapped up in the customer side that I didn't want to forget anything else in trying to determine what I may want to do. So I really took in that career map. And from there, I picked a couple of places that I thought were interesting to me, and I reviewed the job descriptions. I went out there and I took in what the job description was, what the position entailed, what I may like about it, what I may dislike about it. And from there, I picked a couple of positions and I leaned into my peers, my coworkers. Surescripts has a great culture of openness where we are able to lean into our peers, and they are more than willing to give you direction and help and guidance. And I leaned into my peers and I shadowed particular positions. I set up coffee dates and cocktail hours and mocktail hours, and listened into their meetings and just really learned what different position day-to-day details entailed. And so I took all of that in, and I just decided and made a decision, okay, this is what I like about this aspect. And from there, I pursued it. So it was really strategic. It was really detailed. It took some time. It wasn't overnight, but it was really learning what I liked and how I could apply what I liked to other positions in moving in the company.
So awesome and so great to kind of hear you break that down. It's really good to share stuff like that. So thank you. Okay, so this next person had wanted to know, can you talk about how you leveraged your account management skills to really move into the product space?
Yeah, so that was a fun one, because from an account management, I always say relationship management, because it's more than just the accounts. It's largely about communication. It's about relationship building. It's about cross-functional collaboration. And those are the pieces that I really love about relationship management. And so when I was looking to move into another position, I wanted to really be able to make those pieces that I love shine through, and bring that talent to another team and really focus and have the team see that I was bringing something that they could utilize. So I really looked at, in looking at product, it's with a product role, you're still interfacing with customers. You're still having to create and sell a story. And all of that is about communication and relationship building from an external perspective, but you're also working cross-functionally and relationship building internally. So I got to keep all of those pieces that I considered myself really high level at, and bring them to another team and really shine and bring that knowledge base.
I love that. It's one of those things that, like, it can seem kind of scary, right, to move from drastically different situations, even within the same company. But it's it's always good to kind of hear how other people have managed to really migrate those skills, or really take a look at what you've learned and how you can kind of apply it differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So this next question, this person wanted to know, what skill sets or experiences from your work in account management have been the most beneficial or transferable to your work in product innovation?
Definitely, again, the cross collaboration. So in product, you are becoming a SME, an owner of your product, of your particular product, and you are taking that and you are collaborating with maybe legal or the customer team or other product teams to really sell your vision and sell your story. So being able to communicate that and create that story and create that buy-in internally was a skill set that I brought and something that I love to do. And I think also, even from an external perspective, you're still having to go to your customer base and really show the excitement and the story that you're telling around your product and why they should engage with it and why they need it in their workflows. And I think when coming from account management, you are looking at through the perspective and the lens of the customer and the customer's needs, and taking in what they need and then translating that to an internal business need and aligning with our business needs. But from a product perspective, you almost broaden your horizons in that you understand and you have a history with the customer needs, but now you can also take that and translate it into why that customer needs your product. So I think just the ability and the experience of having worked externally in face-to-face scenarios with different customers, I was really able to bring that over and continue to build upon that in my storytelling.
I love that. It's definitely a familiar idea for me, especially like I've worked in like kind of shifted between multiple departments at Power to Fly, and it kind of gives you a more holistic, sounds like too like a granola word, but it gives you like a more complete view of the business, right? It gives you a more complete view of not just the customer side and not just the building side, but how those two interact and then how that works within the company as a whole.
Absolutely. And I think another piece that I would add is just the impact itself that Surescripts has on healthcare. So from an account management perspective, you're looking at it from the view of the customer and how you're helping them to impact healthcare. Moving to the product side, you are actually able to see how our products are impacting healthcare, how we're driving healthcare forward, and how our products are helping our customers to impact healthcare. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces that I've taken away from moving over to product, is that we have a huge impact on healthcare that really resonates with me and is a day-to-day driver in everything that I do.
Yeah, for sure. So just real quick, sorry, I don't mean to like kind of derail us a little bit, but for people that maybe aren't familiar with Surescripts, could you give us like a brief rundown on like what the company does, like super high level?
Absolutely. So Surescripts is a network. We are a network that allows for the transmission of e-prescribing transactions. So just super high level, when you go to the doctor and say you need a medication, instead of them writing that script can now be sent electronically to your pharmacy. And there's a whole lot of work that goes in the background. They pull down your benefits information. They can tell you your pricing information. They can do electronic prior auth information. All of that, our network is set up to allow for all those transactions to happen. And so we are in the middle of the doctor's office, we're in the middle of the pharmacy, and we're in the middle of what are called the pharmacy benefit managers, which is your benefit plan. And we put all of those pieces together and allow for the patient to have the best experience that they can have from the beginning of meeting the doctor to the end of picking up their scripts.
It's so great because like it's one of those things that you don't really think about, but like I have a crazy amount of prescriptions that I have to manage between myself and my husband, who's a type 1 diabetic. So like the idea that you could have maybe a little bit more of a seamless experience and a little less of the like runaround kind of thing, like the prior authorization is huge. That's so cool.
Absolutely. And that is what we're focused on. We are trying to limit limit the amount of paperwork, limit the number of callbacks to the pharmacy from the doctor, limit the time and the energy that the patient has to put into maybe going to pick up a medication and it's not ready, or they couldn't afford it, or they didn't know the pricing. All of that we're trying to minimize to make the best experiences happen.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna call out one more, I'll keep doing this for y'all, but please feel free to come off mute if you'd like to ask Chantal a question. You can also put questions into the chat. You're also welcome to even just add like comments or context if we're going over one of your questions. All right, so I'll ask our next one and then I'll hold another, I'll give us like kind of a beat in case anybody wants to, kind of be the first person to come off mute and ask. But for this next question, this is one that's always really interesting to me. What did you love and dislike about these two roles? And if we're looking to make a switch into a seemingly distant or disparate industry, should we take classes or get certified to better prepare ourselves?
That's a really good question. So I would say that I'm gonna focus on what I loved. What I loved and what I continue to love. I continue to love the problem solving aspect. So moving from account management to product, you are solving problems through the lens of the customer. You're helping them to achieve their goals, and all the while trying to align it with your internal business needs. Moving over to product management, you get a broader view of that. So now I'm focused on not only helping the customer achieve their problem solving and achieve their goals, but I'm also looking at our product as a whole and problem solving for the market. What pieces are we missing? Where's the product going? How are customers engaging with the information? What additional information do they need? How is this impacting patient care? So the problem solving pieces has always resonated with me, and it's something that I absolutely love. I also love the cross-functional collaboration. So I still get to touch almost every aspect of our business. I'm working very closely with our customer teams. I'm working very closely with our support teams, working with other product teams, our legal teams. So I get to touch every aspect of that. And that to me is always fascinating. I learn, it's like every day I learn something new. So it's the continual learning process for me as well. And again, the impact on healthcare, like that is my number one driver and something that it pushes me every single day. In terms of dislike, the only thing I can really say is in my decision, sorry, that's my dog. In my decision to move from account management to product, it was really around sales. And not that, from a sales, like, and I always put it as singing for my money, I'm just not a good salesperson. And account management is somewhat sales, and it just wasn't something that I really like to do. But I love sales in the terms of, as a product analyst, I can focus on a singular product. I can become the master and the SME of that product, and I can sell it through my storytelling. That's the main difference for me. It's still sales, but for me, it's the holistic story and knowing that product from end to end that really helped and pushed me to the product side. And absolutely, when we talk about should you take classes or get certified, absolutely. So one of the things that I really had to prepare for in moving over to product is that I had to change the way I thought about and interacted with data. I was not at the time a technical person. And so I really had to understand my knowledge gaps, and to address those gaps, I got SQL training. I did a lot of shadowing and peer learning. I honestly stayed up for hours on YouTube and like looked at Excel, like additional advanced functions. I did Khan Academy. So all of these things, absolutely. I think it's very important to be realistic and to know where your knowledge gaps are and to address them via additional classes, certifications, and even honestly, lean into your job to see if they will subsidize some of that. I know Surescripts has dollars that can be paid towards education and development. lean into your positions and see if they'll pay for some of that additional learning. But absolutely.
Okay, so we've got a couple questions coming up in the chat, and I want to make sure that we work them all in without kind of feeling like we're giving you whiplash of going between different topics.
Sure.
But as a personal question, or a question from me, I should say, when you were kind of like you said, when you were looking at what your limitations were or what you needed to bone up on or learn new skills. Was Surescripts like part of the discussion? Like, is this something you talked about with your supervisor, or is this something that you really just did like on your own?
It was a combination of both. So I had a very close relationship with my former director, and I, as part of my individual development process and my one-on-ones, I communicated some of the things and some of the goals that I had. So she and I worked very closely to create that IDP, that individual development process, and work towards the goals that I had. Also internally on our intranet, we have some direction and resources that you could utilize as well to help make those decisions. So yes, it was absolutely discussing my future goals with the folks I reported to. And it was also self-driven. I mean, you still have to sit there and have an understanding from what you want to do and how you can get there, and engage the right people to get you down that path. I think mentoring is huge, and talking to your peers is second to none. All of that knowledge is right there for you to take, and I say take advantage of it.
Okay, so we did have a question in the chat before we keep moving. This person had said, Chantal mentioned having the conversation with herself about what she wanted at the start of the pivoting process. Could you go into a little bit more depth about like what questions needed more pondering, or what what really helped you when you were trying to figure this out, like trying to make a choice of if you were going to pursue this or not?
Yeah. So it was really, and I think it comes down to, I had been in account management for a long time. And part of the reason that why I was in that position for a long time was I was putting myself through school. So I needed that consistency. And so as I got closer to my graduation date, I began to get a little burnt out, right? And so I really had to sit there and ask myself, okay, are you burnt out because of the position? Are you burnt out because of school? Are you burnt out because you're pregnant? Like what's really going on? And
all of the above?
All of the above, right?
Any one of those would be enough to like sideline, I think, most of us.
Right. And so it was really picking through my feelings and focusing on what I really wanted to happen. So I sat down, I'm a little burnt out from work. Why am I burnt out from work? Okay, I'm in this position, and while I love this part, I don't love this part. There's expectations here. Okay, so now that I've picked apart what I like, what I don't like, what the expectations are, now I can begin to focus in on what I can actually address and what I can change, right? If I like this aspect of my position, how can I apply that to another position in the company? And so it's being very transparent with yourself and really understanding what it is that you want and where you want to go, and then applying that or drawing direct correlation to other positions that may be available within the company. So you're going to have to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of just research, right? You got to know what's out there to even know where you want to be.
All right, so that plays really nicely into this other question that was asked. This person had said, how did you manage that in-between space of looking for other roles within your company without jeopardizing your existing role?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I mean, Surescripts has a very open culture, and they try to promote within. They want to grow their employees. They want to keep their employees. And so they really focus on growing their employees and trying to move them into the positions and the paths that they want to go. So to me, it was never a question of, am I jeopardizing what I have by looking at something else? Because it was already an open conversation that I was having with my director. I didn't want to leave Surescripts. I was just looking for a new challenge. And I think that's healthy. honestly, I don't, if I was in a company where I couldn't look for new challenges, I don't think I'd want to be there. So yeah, I would say that you shouldn't be scared to look for new challenges and look for something different in jeopardy, or being scared that you're losing what you already have. That should be something that is encouraged from your leadership.
I agree. And it's, it's one of those things that it kind of teaches you more about the culture that you actually have at the company.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of times, like when you onboard, within that first like 5 to 6 month window, I feel like is when you really first start seeing maybe like what the company culture is really like, as opposed to what you thought it was before you got there. But for other people, it takes kind of, like you said, exploring these different pathways within the company to find out if this is a really supportive company, or if this is maybe not a company that's really prioritizing your growth as an individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lisa had also asked a question, which I please feel free to not answer if it's too personal, but Lisa had wanted to know, did you sacrifice salary or seniority when you made the move? Because this is obviously something that a lot of us have to think about. So yeah.
Yeah, I will answer that. And I did. I did. It was, again, this was a very strategic move for myself. And it was something that I knew I wanted to do with a longer term goal in mind. So when I did move to product analyst, I did not get a pay raise. And I did not get it was a lateral move for me. And I think that it is important to have those, that's part of the conversation. Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with maybe stepping back and having to move forward to get to your long-term end goal? And for me, the answer was yes. So yeah.
Okay. And thank you, Lisa, for raising that question, because I feel like that's one of those things that like nobody really wants to think about, because like it's just it feels like one of those things that like, well, if I'm going to lose money or if I'm going to lose seniority, like you don't want to take it, especially knowing that women are already underpaid, generally speaking, women of color even more so in the workforce. And it takes so much longer for things like lack of raises, or that progression of salary can take so much longer than it would for maybe a cisgender white male. So it's definitely something that requires a lot of thought. And you're right. I think that's a really great way to look at it, is like you're making this lateral move, but if the ceiling is so much higher on that other path than it was where you were. I mean, like when I was a paralegal, it was a decent job. I wasn't super happy, but it was a decent job. But it's also like, unless you're planning on working at a great, like huge firm and, trailing your particular attorney up the rope or up the ladder, or you're planning on going to law school, it tops out pretty quickly. Like there's not a lot of places to go once you're there. Yeah. So I appreciate you kind of talking about the idea that yes, it's a lateral move, but is it what's best for you in the long run?
Right. And I think that end goal is really where you need to focus. What are you trying to achieve 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years, even 5 years from now, right? And is the move that you're making going to get you there?
All right. So to move on to our next question. Oh, I will hold some time here in case anybody, from the audience bank would like to come off mute and ask their question. You're more than encouraged to do so. Otherwise, we will keep going. Jen, would you like to ask a question?
I would. I wasn't sure. I was hesitating. I wasn't sure if it fit right here, but
no, please. I can build a conversation around anything. Please
cool.
Feel free.
I was really excited, Chantel, to hear you talking about moving from like kind of the sales side of thing to product, because I feel like I am sort of in the same situation and trying to figure out what to do, and doing like support and customer success right now for an EHR, but have a marketing background. So I'm trying to figure out kind of where to bridge the gaps kind of on paper of what my skills, what I know. So I guess that's my question really is if you have any suggestions of subject matter or courses, that there's just so many things that you can learn about. Like I really want to learn and start, taking some technical classes, doing some online stuff, whatever I need to do to kind of be able to, I don't know, combat that imposter syndrome and like have it on paper. Like I don't just know SQL, I'm certified in it.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of wondering if you have any suggestions.
Yeah. So I would, so one, never imposter syndrome, right? If you are looking at a position that, and it interests you for a reason, something
Right.
resonates. And that means there's a knowledge, there's a skill set there, right? So second to that, I would say that your skills that you know that you are strong in, highlight those on your resume, make them shine like diamonds. And
Okay.
Even just in how you present it, the placement, but also I think in your cover letter, really talk to those experiences and the skill sets that resonate with some of the requirements from the job description, right? Especially from a customer success and support perspective, I think those are one of the best positions to be in because you are getting to see everything. You are taking in cases, you're working with customers, you're hearing their concerns, you're hearing their needs, you're interfacing with legal, like you're all over the place. Right. You have such a wealth of knowledge that you're taking in from all of those things. I think it is very, it's very almost not easy, but it is one of the positions that you can take and really shine some of those skills and some of those learnings from all of those interactions and apply them to almost any role. Any role you need to go to, you're probably interfacing with a customer. You need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to be efficient. You need to be able to work cross-functionally, and you're doing that already. So I think that's my suggestions from a resume perspective. For courses, I'm not quite clear what you want to move to, but I would definitely look at like some of like the free classes, like Coursera is a great one. Khan Academy is a great one, especially from getting like technical skills down. And then even looking at maybe doing some boot camp classes. Those that cost money, but I mean, if you could get subsidized from your current position and growth there, like that'll help. So yeah, I would look at, especially the free courses. I always look at free courses and try to do as many as I can.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks so much for that, Jen. And thank you so much for coming off mute. I know it can be scary to be the first one, but I promise it's not as scary as it looks.
I'm working tickets on the side here, so.
Yes, I love the multitasking. Yes. Okay, so Shannon also said that she had a comment. Shannon, would you like to come off mute? And y'all are more than welcome to do this. Like, you can interrupt me anytime you like.
I love the engagement. Talk to me.
Sure. I just wanted to also chime in for Jen as a recruiter. So I think that sometimes we get so like in a lane of this is what I do and these are my responsibilities that when you start to write your resume, you forget that, but I have so much knowledge about products from working here. And sometimes depending on how big your company is, people may not know that you know that. So I think it's worth weaving that into your resume too. Like I've been working with X product for X amount of time. You know, you might not want to go as far as to say you're a subject matter expert unless you really feel like you are, but those things will help also the recruiter to say like, hey, well, this person might not say this in title, but look at all the knowledge they have. Let's talk to them and learn some more. So I would encourage you to do that. And then maybe even like a data dump, brain dump of just like, let me just write down everything I do, almost like you're doing your review. And then start your resume that way. I think, you know, you don't want a really long one, but I think 2 pages is fine. So I would rather understand what you do than guess, and that'll give you a better shot as well. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to chime in as well as being someone on Chantel's team. Product management especially is really benefiting from people who have seen more departments, seen more roles, because we work with everybody. And having the empathy of, I actually was in support, I actually was a developer, I actually was an account manager, I'm a director of product management and innovation now, and I started as a developer, and I was an account manager, and I was in operations, and it helps bring a depth and breadth of cross-functional knowledge, as well as I said, that empathy of I get you, I can talk to you, and I can connect with you, and it makes you a better product management professional.
You
Excellent.
guys are getting me excited. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I love when the rest of the team gets involved too. That's so great. Thank you to you both. Jen, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
Linda, I just saw you come off mute. Would you like to ask a question?
No, I'd like to, I'm also a team member with Chantel and Michelle who spoke. And kudos to you, Chantel, you've done a fabulous job here and with your presentation today. You know, one of the things that I had lots of very diverse positions, and everything I did helped make this next one stronger because, as Michelle said, you have that inside information. You understand what it's like to be in that seat of that person. And so, you know, and depending upon where you want to go, which is a really important thing to kind of keep your eyeballs on, you'll want to gain the experience that you need to be able to really see what that person kind of has to do and learn from your experiences to do it. Your analogies and your thought process is very spot on, Chantel, and it's a pleasure working with you. And I just wanted to chime in and say hello.
I am so proud right now. I love you guys.
Awesome.
We love you right back.
Yay. I do see we have people asking in the chat about like kind of next steps and tips on, you know, what to do next. We will get to all of that towards the end of the chat today. I know we only have about like 18 minutes left, but we will get to that at the end of today's chat.
There's so much to say.
I know, I'm telling you, this always goes way too quickly. And I try and keep the conversation moving without us like feeling too rushed, but we always, I mean, plus our community puts forward so many great questions, not just like in the session at hand. Like it's the ones that come up in the chat are always amazing too. All right, so this person had asked, how has your relationship with customers evolved? And how has your relationship with the company's overall mission evolved? The second part of this really interests me because I know we've talked a little bit about your relationship with customers.
Yeah, this is a really good question. And I would say that, so my relationship with customers previously was through the lens of helping to drive the customer's needs, right? They communicated to me what they needed. I took that information, I communicated internally, aligned it with business needs, and really had my eye on how do I please the customer. Now, when I'm looking at things, we get a customer request or any request comes in, and I'm looking at, okay, how does this help the market? Does this apply to all customers or just one customer? What are the resources? What is the financing? What is the time frame for executing this? Do we need to write reports for this? So it's really broadened my understanding of what a seemingly easy request is and all of these steps and timing that go to execute. And it's actually given me a much bigger appreciation for what Surescripts does and the breadth of our product lines and what it means to execute all this. I remember being on the account management team, and I have a request for, I'll just say a report, and I'd be told that it would be like 3 months. Why? Now I get why. I absolutely understand why, and all of these steps behind it into the why. So it's really broadened my horizons and understanding, and I have a much bigger respect for all that it takes to execute these types of asks, or any ask really. And then I would say that my relationship with the company's overall mission, I'm just so much more aligned with how we are driving and impacting our healthcare market. So now that I'm actually seeing how we execute and how we roll out products into the market and how our EHR partners or our provider partners and our PBM partners and our health plans, how they consume this information and how they consume it impacts the end user, which is really the patient, and how the patient's experience is impacted by all that we do. I am so much more just driven in a day-to-day basis to make sure that what we do counts, or what I do counts, that we execute correctly, and that we are really driving and keeping the patient in mind, because we are all patients, right? We're all patients. So at the end of the day, we're the ones that are benefiting from this. And I think that piece is just really drives me, and is super important, just how we're impacting and continue to impact healthcare.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So we have a couple of questions that I'm really hoping we can get to, but again, please feel free to jump in with your own questions if you have something you'd like to talk about with Chantal or the rest of the Surescripts team. So this person had asked, what were some action plans or tasks that you did after your internal career switch in order to adjust fully into the new responsibilities of your product analyst role? And I know we've covered a little bit of the decision-making as well as the practical steps that went into readying yourself for that role, but can we talk a little bit about after you got there and needed to adjust, if there were new responsibilities, maybe not necessarily hard skills, but soft skills or anything like that you had to take steps to either reach or polish?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I had to learn how to look at data. Coming from the customer team, I had never really manipulated. I'd never really worked with data, right? And so now I am an analyst, and I need to intake large amounts of data, and I need to find trends and anomalies, and not only that, but just taking in that information and data, and then being able to present something that is readable and consumable by another party that is not you, right? And may not be able to take in data like that either. So I really had to learn how to do that. And again, I keep saying this, I leaned heavily on my peers. I leaned into our business intelligence teams. I worked closely with people that I had relationships with to hear how they talked about data, to hear how they thought about data, what they thought about when they were putting together reports, how some of the questions that they asked, and how they got to that line of thinking. And so I learned from my peers. And I think second to that is I had to get technical. I joined NCPDP. I would just sit in on meetings just to listen to how people talked about things, just to be familiar with the words that were being used and the phrases that were being used, and some of the questions and the problems that they were trying to solve, and where the market was going, just listening. I would read a lot of technical guides and implementation guides. And if I had questions and I didn't understand, what was being said or what I was reading, I would go to the teams and just say, can I just bend your ear for 15 minutes and can you help walk me through this? I leaned a lot on even my direct team. So I worked a lot with Linda, who just spoke, and I sat up some time with her, and just her as a business analyst, and understood what her role is and how it applied to mine. So it was a lot of reading, and it was a lot of leaning on my peers to gain their knowledge. So I looked at them as experts, and just continually applying that and learning.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you for kind of going into that. So one of the things that I know we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, and actually tell you what, let's kind of continue on one of the things you hit on in your last answer. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about these champions, right? This person wanted to know, did you have internal or external champions that helped you to make that journey? And if so, how did they help? So you talked a little bit about leaning on your teammates and that kind of thing. Were there any other internal champions or external that you had help with at any point along this journey?
I wish he was on this call right now, but my husband, when he was the one that I came home at night to when I was, frustrated and just trying to make decisions. And he was a listening ear. And even as an outside person looking in, he had really good perspective, right? And he had just really good suggestions on where I could possibly start, right? And so I think it was just being able to just even talk and have somebody listen. Sometimes you're not looking for the answers, you just want to get it out, right? So him just even listening was a big piece. And then he was able to give me some really good advice and just some thoughts to take when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then second, there were quite a few internal folks that I worked with. So as I was an account manager, I shadowed several business analysts and product analysts on different product teams to really understand what their day-to-day was like. So I took like a good 5 or 6 hours out of their time. I would join them on meetings. I would help them work through projects and just kind of different tasks. And so it's that leaning on those that you look to as peers and experts, and getting as much knowledge from them as you can.
I love that. It's really awesome, and kind of speaks to a lot of the company culture at Surescripts, that you were able to lean so heavily on coworkers and new team member, like your new team members, that kind of stuff, as a, instead of just having to rely entirely on a manager. Like that's great, and it's really awesome to have that kind of support from a management perspective, but the whole team coming together is really important too.
Absolutely. I would also say that it hasn't stopped, right? Like I've still got goals that I'm trying to reach, and I look to Michelle and my direct manager all the time in terms of what I'm trying to achieve, how I can get there, what my gaps are, and really just direction on how I can achieve those. And they've been really great. So it never stops is my point. Like it's just the continuation of reaching your end goals, and how do you get there?
All right. So one last question I want to make sure we get to before we round it out for the day, but kind of going along with something I had asked previously. So how, if it is as kind of maybe clearest as you can remember, how did you approach your manager about wanting to make this switch? Because I feel like a lot of times when we talk about these kinds of things, it's like, well, yeah, talk to your manager. Mm-hmm. But even if you can have the world's most approachable manager and most supportive, but like, I have a really hard time figuring out how to have that conversation. Like, what do I say other than, I don't want to leave your team. This is awesome, but like, here's what I'm looking at doing. You know what I mean? So do you remember how you had that conversation with your manager?
I do. And so I do got to preface by saying that her and I had already had history, right? We had already had discussions on where I may want to go. And so this wasn't a new conversation for us. And I would also say that I was on a certain path, and that changed. So it was even more important for me to have that conversation, because I had to pivot, right? We've got to be agile. So so I remember we had biweekly one-on-ones, and I really started by, I would pick points or pick pieces that had really excited me for that couple of weeks. So I remember we had just launched some new reporting, and I was telling her, I really love digging through these reports, and I was able to give X and Y metrics to, this customer, and they really enjoyed it. And, I really like this. I think I'm going to, start looking into maybe some additional classes just to see if I can learn about this more. And as the weeks went on, I began talking to her and just saying, I think I want to go down this path. I'm really excited by it. And, not that it's anything against you or the team, but, I've been here a long time. I'm looking for some new challenges, and this is really getting me excited. And, how do you feel about that? How are you interpreting this? And she was very supportive. She understood, and she helped to give me some really good guidance and advice on where I could start. She pointed me to different directors on the product side that I could talk to, so I could start kind of understanding what underlying skills and resources I really needed. And yeah, I honestly, it's being confident and transparent. If you're confident in what you want to do, transparency is the next step. You have to be able to communicate your vision, because it's your vision, right? And hopefully your manager or your director is as supportive as mine was. But yeah, being direct and transparent is always key.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I know it can, not everybody has such a great support structure, but it's really nice and really helpful to hear like maybe how some of these conversations start. If only so, if you don't have the most supportive manager, maybe you can still try it, test the waters and see where you go from there.
Absolutely.
Meg, I would also add that do what Chantal did as well. If you aren't so sure about the switch or how your manager might take it, is go talk to some other people and make sure that you are really into what you might want to explore, so that if you do bring it up, you're not like, you know what, just kidding, I'm not really that into that. You want to, if you're not as comfortable, become as comfortable as you can be before you have that conversation. That would just be my advice.
That's a really good call out. Thank you for that, Shannon.
Sure.
All right, so to round us out at the end of today's session, I know these things seriously go too fast. Surescripts is hiring. So before we get into what positions you're looking for, Chantal, can you share with us real quick what your favorite part of working at Surescripts is, especially someone who's been there for 10 years?
Absolutely. So one, I've said it a couple of times now, it is our vision. It is how we are impacting healthcare. But two, it is the people. I work with some very smart, very innovative, very driven team members, and I learn from them every day. So I love coming and being on the team and working with everybody. And then three, I would say that it's our culture. We have a very fun and inclusive and diverse culture. We do a lot. We have a party committee, and they do different themes. We have team we're fun. We're fun. We're fun.
Agree.
All right, thank you so much, Chantal. That's amazing. So I'm going to move this over to Shannon or anybody else that wants to chime in here. Can we talk a little bit in the time we have left about what positions you're looking for, and then any tips you might have for someone who's interested in applying?
Sure. So we have a variety of positions open right now. So in product, where Chantal and Michelle and Linda are, we have a product analyst opening, just kind of exactly what Chantal's doing, maybe a little different, but same.
On Chantal's team.
I mean, come on, can it get better? In addition, there's business advisors. In technology, we have software engineering, data engineering, quality engineering, information security engineering. In our customer group, we have integration management analyst positions, and we just opened a director of sales ops position. And then outside of those, a couple other opportunities are for an attorney and a financial systems analyst. I know there was one question about what it is about a product analyst. I don't want to derail us for too long since we don't have much time, but definitely takes analytical skills, someone that wants to have that subject matter expertise and is willing to learn. It has to do with requirements. So if you're interested and have some of those parallels, then I would definitely just try to build off of the things that you already have. And you can link in with myself. I'm sure Chantal is open as well, and we could have further conversations there. Hopefully that's helpful. I would just add favorite things. Obviously you heard today about Chantal being able to take this journey and move into a new opportunity, and you hear that how much work she's put into it. But I do see as a recruiter a lot of opportunity for growth here at Surescripts. I see people moving a lot, and it's not just always vertical. It could be over this way or something slightly different. You do have to, be the best candidate for the role. However, I think it's great that those opportunities exist. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And then tips. Do we have time for tips?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Always cater your resume because you have competition. So you got to put it out there, that you are qualified for this position. And it might take some time to fix that resume up, but definitely do it. I would also say, don't wing your interviews. So take a look at that job description and say all right, they're looking for this. How do I relate? And do a little practice interview. You can talk to yourself, you can talk to a friend, and just really think about okay, if they're looking for this skill, what kind of questions might they ask, so that you can verbalize your experience and, prove that you can do this job is basically what we're looking for. And then I think in another lane would be really understanding some information about the company. That seems kind of simple. However, it will help you shine to be able to say oh, I've learned this about Surescripts and this is why I'm interested, or whatever company you're interested in.
Great call outs. I am going to share, kind of revisit. I shared a bunch of links in the chat here, but I want to kind of revisit that, this is what Surescripts company page looks like on Power to Fly. We shared an evergreen link for Surescripts to go check out their website. And obviously, we're not going to have every the Surescripts posts. We try to, but there might be some kind of lag in between the sites. But one thing I do want to kind of flag for y'all is that if you fill out a job application via Power to Fly, there is a customer service advocate that is attached to the Surescripts account that will follow up on, hey, we saw that these people had applied to these jobs, where are they at in the process? So whether it's with a small company or a large company, it's always nice to have that extra layer of somebody that's kind of following up on stuff, both for your benefit as well as for the Surescripts team. So that way nobody misses anything. So definitely take advantage of that. It's a really great free resource that we offer. So please feel free to check out both on our website and as well as Surescripts link that I've shared both of those in the chat. I want to flag a couple things before I go. We have some really great upcoming Power to Fly virtual events happening. Even later on today, we have an office hour session that's happening. It's always a good time to pivot. So if you're interested in that, that starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. So not that long, and yours truly is hosting. So you'll see kind of another friendly face. We also have some great events happening next week. And then our lead up to our next virtual mini summit is happening in March. That summit is from the 9th to the 12th, and it's going to be a really great event, and it's all about returning to the workforce. So whether you had a break due to COVID, or a break in your employment, or you were caring for family members, or you're have a break in your employment because you're trying to switch industries and trying to make that pivot, definitely check it out. It's free. It's a 4-day event, 50 really great panels, interviews, and just really awesome stuff to take advantage of. So hopefully I'll see y'all on more chat and learns in the future. And before we jump, I want to say a huge thank you to Chantal, as well as the whole Surescripts team that joined here. It was absolutely wonderful to spend time with you all today. And I hope that you had as good a time as I did.
Definitely did. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Chantal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Huge thanks to our attendees as well. Y'all submitted some great questions both before and during today's session. And I can't wait to see more of you in the future. Thanks so much, guys. That's it for today.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.